Business strategy is incredibly important when approaching Upland. This is the second one in the series of business models that I use, so if you missed the first one, make sure to check it out with the link at the top of the page. Hey there, John Henry here, Slingshot Futures Trading Group, SSFTG. I hope your meta ventures have been absurdly profitable so far this year. As I said, this is the second in the series, so make sure to watch the first one as well, going over value sniping. Again, the link is at the top of the page there. In this one, I'm going to go over and cover the passive business model for Upland. To me, each of these strategies, including your own approach, should make up your strategy as a whole. These are just each individual little pieces that all make up the puzzle, so to speak. That said, people who are looking for a more passive way to invest in the metaverse is something that's going to become more and more common. And metaverse might even become a section of a lot of people's portfolios as we go into the new year. They'll have the tech sector, they'll have the blue chip stocks, and then they'll have the metaverse side of things. It wouldn't be that unheard of, and people will be looking for a more passive way to join the party. They don't want to sit here all day flipping property NFTs. I think it's an absolute blast, and I love doing it, but that's my cup of tea. Some people might not be a big fan of that, but they don't want to miss out. They still want to earn. They still want to have a chance to get some really good returns, so they need a more passive approach. So with that topic focus in mind, the first thing that we have to do is figure out what is the best way to earn passively in Upland. Now, of course, the APY that we earn in UPX is, well, it's resting at a solid 14.7%. It was at 17.3%, and that's down, obviously, and that will continue to degenerate per the roadmap, right? They talk about it in the roadmap that the longer things go on, it's going to reduce in terms of the overall earnings. Now, still, 14.7% puts basically every bank to shame 7 times over, but still, it's something that we have to keep in mind, and as that is the case, we have to hedge against that by placing our chips into other things like collections to stack our multipliers and get our earnings up to snuff. Now, recently, collection rates were also dropped, so by no means is that going to stay the same either. But for the medium to long-term future, I mean, let's be realistic here, it's likely that the rates are going to stay high enough that it's worth implementing for the next several years, in my eyes. I mean, when you take into account the fact that a lot of DeFi houses are utilizing a 7 or 8% ratio, sometimes a little bit higher if you're using their in-house tokens, that would mean that even if, with multipliers, the APY on Upland dropped in half, we would still be at a rate that most DeFi platforms are at already. So in terms of value and in terms of the near, medium to long-term future, it's still more than viable for a more passive type of approach. Collections will always have a higher resale value and maintain their intrinsic values really well. The harder the collection is to complete, the more value that is added. Obviously, right? That said, from a passive earnings perspective, these collection pieces are far from created equal. The reason for this is land size and location. A teeny tiny little apartment building that happens to be in an exclusive collection or an ultra rare collection even if it is in an ultra-rare collection, the piece that might be earning 3x multipliers on it with it being in a collection is still only going to earn a few hundred UPX a month because they're teeny tiny. I could earn that from 100th the price with, a regular epic collection, the purple collection in Nashville, easily. So these pieces are bought purely on speculation that over time, the floor price of these properties will increase in value. Now, this is a good example where this is a rare collection. This is iconic SF, this is Nob Hill, this is a multiple rarity piece. This counts for a bunch of different things. That adds a lot of value. But if we look at even the top earnings rate, it's 2,700 UPX, which is about we'll just say $2.80 a month. So if we look at it at $2.80 a month, this property here is 10 million UPX. That's $10,000. So at $10,000, earning, how much was it? $2.80? $2.80 a month times 12 months divided by a $10,000 investment is not even 1%. It's like 1/3 of a percent. These are not ones that you're buying to hold on for collection APY earning boosters. We'll get to that in a second. These, again, are purely based on, they're purely based on the fact that they're in collections and they have a huge psychological boost in value. When there's a lot less of them, the value goes up. As an example, if we look at the collection here, this one's Iconic SF, Knob Hill, etc. If we look at this Iconic SF and we look at how many are actually available for sale, there are only 12. Right? There's only 12 that are being sold right now, and the lowest price one that we've got is the one that we were just looking at, 10 million. So that's a very real price, and in fact, compared to some of the other ones, it's quite cheap and jumps up very aggressively. So picking a collection piece up on the cheap, value sniping it out, that's a different story. But if we're looking at passive investing in something that we can buy and hold and let do its work without us having to spend a bunch of time hawking specific markets and making sure that we're trading the right stuff, then we've got a little bit of a different approach here. Here's a really great example of a collection that we can utilize for earnings that's not ludicrously expensive, tens of thousands of dollars to get into. A really, really good example, and certainly by no means the only one, but the Parkwood collection in Nashville, Tennessee. They just recently sold out in terms of minting, so these were around to be minted for a while. The reason for that was they were very large properties. The majority of Parkwood collections that were left were 100,000 UPX. I mean, they were very expensive. But here's the thing. Remember, we have a 1.5x boost, and if we're looking for passive income, these are the types of things that we want to look for. Let me just use one of mine as an example here. So this one, 3812 Martydale Drive, is on the list, and it's on the list for a reason. First off, you'll notice that it was 59,000 UPX. $59. But if we look at the earnings rate on this is 1,143. That's the same earnings that we were just looking at on a $10,000 property. This is why these Parkwood collections, when you're talking about size and earnings, these are the ones that you really want to start looking to stack. When we're talking about APY and boosters on earnings and everything else, sure, it's only earning $1.14 per month. Times the 12 months, right? $13.68 divided by the $59. Now we're looking at 23.18%. Now we're talking, right? This is where you want to park your value. These are the ones that not only go up intrinsic value-wise because they are part of a collection, and it's part of a very good collection within Parkwood, but the earnings are absolutely insane. One of the best ways to find these is to look for the markup. Now, the markup is something that you can search in UPXLand and hunt for different things. Let's just use the Parkwood example, since that's what we were just talking about. So we'll utilize Nashville, and with Nashville, we'll go down to, we'll go up to Parkwood. And what we want to do is we want to find for sale in UPX. Now, we have been using USD in some of the other ones, but let's go down and we're going to look at the markup price right here. And let me make this a little bigger so we can actually see it. So we're going to go by markup and we're going to search off of that. Now, for searching based off of markup, what we're looking at is the overall price differential from the mint price to what it's being sold for. And this is where you're going to find the best value in terms of looking for pieces of a collection. In this case, this one is a really good example. It's more expensive. It's $105,000. But if we look at the markup value, it's 103%. And if we look at the actual earnings, which you can do right here, you can see that that's $21.92 in terms of the earnings. So $2.19 we'll just say times 12 months divided by $105 we'll say that's around 25%. You can see these are the ones that you want to really try pushing into. Just because the collection over here looks like it's incredibly difficult to get and it's some, hyped up nutso collection that's billions and billions of dollars on here doesn't mean that it's a good investment from an earnings passively side of things. Passive investing is a great way to approach Upland from, a more slower but more stable growth way, and a great way to pump up the back end of any portfolio. That said, it's not the only approach, so make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell icon so you're notified when the next and third one in the series comes out. If you aren't in Upland yet making those fat stacks, click the referral link in the description below. It gets you in the game with some starter UPX to get going, and if you decide to invest some cash, you get a huge bonus on your first UPX purchase as well. You only get that perk though if you click the link when you register for the game, so make sure that you don't miss out on some easy UPX bonuses because you didn't click a link. I hope you have an amazingly profitable time in the metaverse. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for video topics, drop those in the comments below. But until the next one, we'll see you all then. Thanks for watching.